Welcome to Around Town TV. My name is Carla Berline, and I'm so excited to have with us tonight Miss J, the life etiquette expert, as we talk about manners during and after COVID and more. Welcome.
Thank you, Carla. So glad to be with you this evening.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here and definitely a timely topic. Well, it's always a good topic, but a lot is going on. Um, I met you originally as Juliet Mitchell, the life etiquette expert, but you're also Miss J. How did you come to be called Miss J?
Well, I am a Southern girl. That means girl raised in the South. We call ourselves Grits. And if you were an adult, you were called Miss. And if you were a young person, you called every adult Miss something. So as I grew up, I became Miss Juliet. Working with teens a lot, that was a lot of syllables to say at one time. So it became Miss J. It's a matter of respect for elders. And so that's what I grew up with, and that's how I became Miss J.
I do a lot with youth programs, pageantry, and that's one of the things I love about the South. In fact, we have some of those people online right now. We have quite a few people online. But one of my favorite things is when I'm at these events, you can always tell which kids are from which part of the country because they will say to me, Miss Carla, versus,
Yeah.
or ma'am, yes, ma'am. And that's so important. But we're here to talk about you and your company and all that you do. Tell me more about the Life Etiquette Expert. Or actually, it's called the Institute, correct? And
Life Institute. Well, the Life Etiquette Institute just really been renamed. My company was something else a year ago, and last June it became the Life Etiquette Institute. It's a consulting and training company focusing on business and social etiquette and career development. I started out with work readiness, but the thing that kept coming out and kept rising to the top was how to be, how to conduct and carry yourself. So etiquette became my mainstream work after a few years. And since that time, I've created a curriculum called Social Education and Life Etiquette. That's the teaching on how to be in life.
well, it's such an important piece. And those who know myself and my family, I was taught that etiquette is the number one thing, that you don't need money to have polish and etiquette. But how did you come to learn and focus on life etiquette?
Once I found out what the term actually meant, etiquette has been a part of my life, all of my life. As you said, girls raised in the South or kids raised in the South, you were raised with a level of respect. And again, it was not about money or affluence. You were raised to have good manners, respect for yourself, respect for your family. You were told that you represented your family, your school, even your culture when you went outside of that. So good manners was the thing that opened doors or closed doors for you.
Absolutely. I want to quick say hello to John Nestler, who's online, and Jamie Lee Gaffney. Thank you. And we also have we have quite a few people online. So thank you for everybody who has tuned in. Again, my name is Carla Berline, and we have Miss J, the life etiquette expert, and we're going to talk manners during and after COVID-19 and more. And we've been talking about her company and why she focused on life etiquette, what that is. And for those who are just tuning in, what is life etiquette?
Well, let me just kind of step back a little bit. When you hear the term etiquette, what do you think about, Carla? What comes to mind? What is that picture that comes in your head?
I always think of the please and the thank you, the person who's doing that, but more so the table etiquette, napkin on the lap.
Well, and that's what most people think about. But doing my study and exploration of people, so I have a background in human development. Why do people behave the way they do? Why do they do what they do? What's the why behind it? So that you feel comfortable and confident in whatever you do. So if you learn the lesson, then that will come out. So I talk about etiquette being on a spectrum. Etiquette is about table manners, but oftentimes you're not ready for the table. You have to get some grooming for yourself before you get to the table. So we look at etiquette going from being nice and kind and polite to being respectful and courteous and considerate, all the way on the other end of the spectrum where there's rules and laws and protocol. All of that is etiquette, not just the dining table. So
Mhm.
think about it. If we didn't have etiquette in the world, what would the
Mhm.
world be like?
Yeah, it would, yeah, a mess.
It would be pretty chaotic. It
It,
definitely
yes.
would. So we have to have this agreement. Well, we don't have to have anything, but if we don't have this agreement when we come to the table, it could be pretty chaotic. So etiquette is about respecting yourself, respecting others in the world around you, but you have to be able to come to the table, have that a conversation and that agreement so that you will know how to do life together and how to be together in a respectful way, in a way that honors everyone, and that's not chaotic.
Well, and I have noticed there's friends of mine that if I'm at, they do know how to behave and
Mhm.
act and have the manners if they're at a formal dinner. But if it's just us together, they'll smack their food, they'll lick their fingers, they won't use their napkin on their lap. Why is etiquette important?
Etiquette is important because if you don't show that respect for that person that you're with or that situation you're in, and you really have to be groomed enough or knowledgeable and informed enough to make that switch. I was with a bunch of college students about a month or so ago, and they talked about code switching as if it was a bad thing. And of course, I had to weigh in with these young adults that code switching, if you want to call it that, is really not a bad thing because different behavior call for different situations call for different manners and behavior. But if you can't switch it up, then I would err on the side of doing it maybe the more conventional, conservative way. So if you can
Right.
switch it up with your friends and you can smack and lick fingers, that's fine. But if you take that to a boardroom, if you take that to a formal event, you might not be back invited back to the table.
Right. Well, and on the other hand, you and I were talking about how etiquette opens doors and opportunities. Explain to those who are tuning in what you mean by that and how so.
Well, I'll give you some examples in my own life, just at my own house with my 9 brothers and sisters. So I was raised in a household of 10 people, actually 12 because of my mom and dad. So there had to be a law and an order in that situation. So if you acted up, you would be on punishment or you would not enjoy the privileges of certain things. So take that to the next step outside of the home. If you're that person who is respectful and have good manners, then you get invited to the table. There are plenty of things that I've been invited to, plenty of opportunities, like your show today, based on, based on knowing people, respecting them, and they're trusting that that's what I bring to the table.
Yes.
I've also seen doors closed to people because they acted out. Not that they didn't have the knowledge and skills, they did. But
Mhm.
sometimes the knowledge and skills make it covered over by inappropriate behavior or manners.
Absolutely. Let's talk about COVID-19. I know you and I offline have had a lot of conversations about this. I'm a hugger. I'm a for sure. I love to shake people's hands. And if they're important, I do the two handshake. This is tough on me. I can't even hug my parents right now because of social distancing. What is appropriate right now? And how do you maybe foresee things changing in the future?
Well, like you, I am a hugger, but handshaking was my thing. So helping people to get prepared for the job, helping them to groom themselves socially. I studied the handshake. I went to seminars. I did research. I looked at the art and the science behind handshake. If you were in Dakota County Jail, which I did a lot of work with the male inmates in Dakota County Jail, if you were a young lady between 5 and 8 years old that came to my princess tea parties, you were taught the handshake. So when I heard that we can't touch and shake hands, I was like, oh, what is that going to do for my business? Oh my God, I teach handshaking. However, I had to quickly adjust as well. But
Mhm.
the good news is for me, especially because I have such a diverse clientele, I had already investigated how to not shake hands, even in a
Mhm.
handshaking culture, because there are really 3 or 4 major reasons why people did not shake hands before COVID. If
Mhm.
they truly were ill and
Yeah.
didn't get other people ill, if they had some physical limitation,
Mhm.
cultural or faith reasons, and sometimes that would go together. So that was always that there. So what I would
Mhm.
tell people is maybe the claps of the hands or maybe a tuck in and a bow. So now a friend of mine
Mhm.
mentioned this the other day. She said, you know what? Why don't we do the Wakanda bow? That
Oh,
works as well
yeah.
because it's that temptation, like you and I are, to reach that hand out and make that contact, but we know that it's disrespectful and it puts people in an uncomfortable place for us to do that. So we are rethinking that along with how that space that we have between each other. But this is something else that we've noticed. Not only are people not bowing, they're they're not making eye contact. So
Right.
what is that about? So again, it's a
Amazing.
teaching and a retraining. Looking at someone in the eyes is not going to give you COVID. So doing the bow or the clasp, but still keeping that full front position and making the eye contact. And it's okay to smile. Even behind a mask, you can tell.
Right. You can the eyes. Hi, Kent. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody who's online. My name is Carla Berlin. You're watching Around Town TV Live. I'm so thrilled to have Miss J, the life etiquette expert. We're talking manners. And we've been just most recently talking about manners during COVID and what may happen. We're talking about hugs and maybe a bow or a handshake. Now, a lot of people are doing Zoom calls, meetings like we're kind of doing with this Be Live going, but we're going obviously live to all of our viewers.
Mhm.
In doing that, are there some, we were talking about this too, what is proper etiquette in dress and attire and manners? Is it okay? A lot of us wear sweatpants below the waist and then dress up here. What is appropriate?
If you are doing Zoom for your business or for an employer, if it's your business, I guess you could do what you want to do. You can come in a bathrobe with a cap on your head. That's okay. But is it respectful and is it honoring of the person that you're meeting with? Some employers actually give um, Zoom, shall I say, FaceTime tips or requirements that you do come to the table dressed appropriately and not in your bathrobe. People are using Zoom for so many different things. And just like you would socialize in normal life, if it's you and your family, you're dressing like family. If it's you and your friends, you may do something different. Just Sunday, I participated in a tea party. It was a hat thing. I didn't have a tea party hat, but I did get dressed for the tea party. So there's a
Mhm.
certain protocol in the dress, whether you are here, like FaceTime, or whether you're in person, you keep that same standard of honor and respect for that situation.
And it's you just made me think of something. So today, in fact, a dear friend of mine is getting married. May 22nd. They canceled their showers and now they have postponed indefinitely their wedding reception, which was to be at the Lafayette Club. And
Okay.
instead, they're doing their wedding virtually, and all of us guests are invited virtually. That would be something that you wouldn't want to be in your sweats. I should wear what I would wear to the wedding, correct?
And that is so honoring to dress up for that event. That's going to make that so special. It's like some people say, well, I don't want to go to a wedding because I wear jeans all the time. And if they can't accept me. So my point is, if you're not going to go and honor what they've created for themselves, then you do the honorable thing by not going. I'm so sorry, I can't join you if you're not going to do it.
Right.
Now, you can block out your picture when you're doing certain meetings. But again, if you've been invited to a guest, the expectation is that you would be on video and
Yeah.
that you would be prepared for that.
Right.
Here's a tip, and this came out with the tea party on Sunday.
Oh,
Some people didn't know how to mute themselves and maybe even the host. And there was all kind of noise in the background. We are working with our dogs in the room, with our children, with our mate or spouse that's in the room. So how do you do that when you're having a business meeting? You find that space, or you put yourself on mute and be attentive to the person you're with.
And if there's a group of people, what if a meeting's going on for 2 hours where normally in person you would say, excuse me, I need to go to the restroom at the appropriate time? When you're in a meeting and you're not the one talking, is it okay to mute your video and your audio and excuse yourself?
You definitely should mute your video and audio and step away and just come right back in and join. You don't have to make a big deal. It's
Okay.
like picture yourself at a conference table.
Yeah.
Someone step away and they make a whole lot of noise and they come in and they disrupt things. So put that on video or on the Zoom. It would be the same way. So you want to be as unobtrusive as you can when you return to the table and just move forward.
Oh, perfect. We've had two more comments. First of all, Christina Moline, who owns a hair salon, and my hair has not been done since like February or the beginning of March. She just said, Carly, you look stunning. Thank you, Christina. I really appreciate you saying that, especially given these times where I have bad nails. Goodness, I can hide them. But we're in quarantine, and life goes on. Dave Olson, who I worked with as a volunteer at CTV, one of my first jobs out of college, and I would go back and volunteer. He's online, and he said, I'm a hugger too with a handshake. Without it, it feels like they would rather not meet you. And I bet for Dave, that even goes an extra step. Dave had a stroke, if not two, and he is on a scooter. And speech can be difficult for him and for people to understand him. So that touch probably does mean, for someone that has those handicaps or challenges, means a little more.
Wow. Well, learning to touch without touching is creating intimacy, the contact, and that's why that eye contact is even more important. That's why facing your body rather than turning like this and kind of facing away is kind of evasive. So if you
Yeah.
can, you still want to position yourself so you're at least facing that person and honoring them with your energy.
And I'm finding with COVID, so many people are on all ends of the spectrums, from thinking this is a total joke to where I'm at protecting two terminally ill parents. And I can't emphasize enough, and maybe you can speak to this too, and just respecting. I was at the store the day that the first stimulus checks came out, along with Social Security checks. I went to the grocery store at a time I normally go where there's just a couple people there. It was packed. I was kind of panicking. One lady could tell, even with my mask on, I'm sure my eyes had fear in them. And she basically said, I don't know what you're worried about. Social distancing doesn't work. When are you going to get that? And I said, well, when you have two parents. Yes. And that, of course, kind of got me like, oh, more panicked than anything. And I said, filled with fear. And my response was, when you have two parents at home dying, you do it. And she was like, oh, I would too. But I shouldn't have had to say that.
You're right. You shouldn't
Yeah.
have to, but we do, and that's the world we live in. We live in this very diverse world with all these different levels of understanding and beliefs and thinking. So again, life etiquette is about how do I show up and how do we be in this world
Mhm.
together. Again, we talked about when you come to the table, there's that agreement on how we're going to be together. If you don't have that agreement, it's going to be chaotic. So that's why some stores you go into, you're going to have that. So when things are chaotic and not working well, guess what happens? People come up with a rule,
Yes.
or and
Yes.
that's the part of etiquette that we sometimes we don't like, but the rules and the laws and the protocol, that's the part of etiquette that keeps us safe.
Well,
So
like this, stay at home
exactly.
and shelter. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're going into a store, that's why many stores now, probably most of them, are only letting certain people in, I mean, so many people in at a time. They gave us an opportunity to do it on our own, and we didn't do it on our own. So when things are not done on your own, then some rules and laws and protocols and some guidelines are put into place to protect the masses, regardless of your belief.
I want to change to your book. I'm super excited for you and your etiquette book that's coming out in the next few months. can you share a little bit about the book and what little tease us a little bit about what it's about?
Actually, I just had a conversation today with a publisher. So there's kind of two things going here. First of all, is the coffee shop book. I go to coffee shops, and coffee shop is kind of built into the fabric of how we do life now, especially if you're an independent, if you're a student. So it has its own culture. So how do we, what is our agreement when we come to the coffee shop to respect ourselves, the other people, the barista? What does that look like? And my coffee shop story is that my dad and I used to drink coffee together when I was little. Well, I would drink a little coffee with my cream and sugar, and he would have a little cream and sugar with his coffee. But that became those early learning lessons. So the coffee shop is where we get those wisdom. So wisdom over a cup of coffee or something like that, hopefully be coming out this year. But I've also been approached about the work that I've done with the inmates of Dakota County Jail. I
Mm-hmm.
was there actually for 9 months, and is really how I came up with the term life etiquette. I did a pilot series, and at the end of the series, one of the participants, when they're my group, they're not inmates, they are participants. He raised his hand and said, "Miss Mitchell, you ought to call this life etiquette." And I said, "Well, I like it. Can I use it?" He said I could use it. So social education and life etiquette is the teaching on how to be in life. So we're looking at bringing that forward, the training into a book to help people, not only incarcerated, it's for anyone, but that particular population. What do I need to do when I leave here so that my life is better, that people will allow me to live with them, that I will be in community and will be honored and respected for the changes that I've made in my life.
Oh, fantastic. One of the things I don't know that you and I've talked about, which is interesting, is um, one of my degrees, aside from broadcast journalism, was sociology, and I focused on criminology and what criminals' minds, why they behave the way they do, which you actually spoke to today. So wonderful of you to serve and to teach and to share what's so important with everybody in the world. And for those who we've had a lot of people online, we still do. If you're just tuning in and you're interested in learning more from Miss J, you can go to mannersamemorable.com. It's in the description if you missed this part in the voice. Miss J, what else would you like to share that we maybe haven't covered?
Well, actually, how I came to Manners Are Memorable, spent a considerable amount of time saying, what is this and why does etiquette matter? Well, in a core, skills are impressive, but manners are memorable. People remember what you do, what you say, and how you behave. And
Mhm.
like it or not, people say, "Oh, you're judging me." Well, judgment is really not a bad thing. That's how we make decision, or you can call it discernment, or assessing a situation to say, do I want to be a part of this or not? So those manners will make a difference. And I give you a quick little story.
Mhm.
Most of us have heard of the Robert Oppenheimer. He's the one, the atom bomb guy. He was he was a genius, but
Mhm.
Robert had some issues. But he got groomed socially. He actually went to an academy for social skills. So he knew how to be. At 12 years old, he was at the table with scientists who were experienced and knowledgeable. So there was this other gentleman who had the same level of genius, but he didn't have anyone to help him navigate the world. So his genius didn't come forward like Robert Oppenheimer's. So I want to share what I have to help other people to give them a platform to bring their genius forward and not be covered over because of bad, inappropriate, or unacceptable behavior.
Well, the foundation and the tools that you give allows each personality to manage their own polish and what feels good for them and
Exactly.
to share with the world. And it does leave a memorable how you walk in a room, how you greet people. That, what do they say? People usually remember how they felt around you even more than what you said.
Exactly. So all of that goes together. And well, Carla, I might invite you to the backyard barbecue, but I might not invite you to the ball or to
Mhm.
the banquet. Well, you know what? Someone at that banquet table may need to meet you, but that opportunity closes because you smack your food and lick your fingers.
Right.
So I can't invite you to this. However, I call this the social gap. You've heard of the achievement gap and the
Mhm.
economic gap. Well, the social gap also impacts a person's life success. So if we can help close that gap, then you have those behaviors and we can all come to the table and be on the same level. We can hear
Oh,
you. Yes.
that's outstanding. You have shared such a wealth of information, and I wasn't sure if there was anything else you wanted to cover before we close. I definitely want you to share again your website and how people can reach out to you if they want to learn more.
Okay. There's one thing I would like to share, and this is my pet project, so to speak.
Okay.
For the last 9 years, I've been hosting a tea party for, I call it Princess's Tea Party and Table Manners for
Yes.
girls 5 to 8 years old. It takes a bunch of volunteers to make this thing happen because it has to be all pretty with pink and white and purple. But we use the tea party as a platform of teaching those basic manners to our princess group. Now it started with just me and a few girls in my living room and a couple of adults. Last year we had like 50 people, about 25 princesses with their significant adult. And their significant adult could be a parent, an aunt and uncle, a role model. We actually had 5 dads to be invited last year, at least to accept the invitation last year.
Fantastic. I love to hear that. And it's so important to be inclusive, especially if that is who is available for that child and to support these
Exactly.
kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Thank you for all you're doing to serve, all of your wealth of knowledge and education, educating us. I had the pleasure, for those who are tuning in and been tuning in and out or just joined us, I had the pleasure to interview Miss J, the life etiquette expert, for the Women's Expo when I was one of the co-hosts, and was just so impressed. I asked her if she'd be a special guest on my show. And to just tease you a little bit, stay tuned because I think you're going to be seeing more of her in her own whatever shows or whatever in the future, as we get through this COVID and the social distancing and we figure that out. But there's just so much for you to share. I'm grateful. I can tell that a lot of people have been grateful because we did have a lot of people online. Uh,
Thank you. Well, thank you, Carla, and thank you to all of your watchers, your listeners, your following for allowing me to be on the show today. It's been so much fun, and I look forward to bringing more. And if you have an etiquette question or even etiquette tip, please feel free to reach out to me.
and that would be through mannersaремemorable.com that they should reach out to.
Exactly. Yes, there's a contact page there as well. You'll find Juliet Mitchell on LinkedIn, of course, and Facebook as well.
Yes, and you will see that I will have her tagged in this as well, and she will share it, so you'll be able to see that. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, my name is Carla Berlin with Around Town TV Live. We're the longest airing, yes, television community showcase featuring Minnesota's lifestyle and business experts like Miss J, the life etiquette expert. And we go live every Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. We also have a show that airs on MCN6, all of the platforms from the broadcast cable, Roku, on demand, and on new media, the new media platforms. And we've been airing since 2003. In fact, our birthday is coming up next Tuesday night. Yeah.
I think I'll be here.
Oh, great. Yeah, we went live April 28th of 2003 at 7 p.m. So it'll be exactly 17 years to the date. And this is our 18th year on air. So we appreciate all of you that have supported us. And we have some really cool things that are happening at MCN6. So I just want to encourage you all to stay tuned for some exciting posts in the next 24 to 48 hours. Appreciate you. Thank you again. So
Thank you all for being here and have a wonderful week.
thank you. Bye bye, everyone. We'll see you soon.